You've been to a lot of demonstrations in your day. Just put this one in context in terms of the mood.
Well, the mood's very strong, given the circumstances that we're operating in. It's just a sector of the trade union movement, but, you know, our noisiest sector. A hell of a lot of the workers that are here today are in a situation where their employer has had to pass on information from the federal government saying that if they attend the rally, they stand the chance of being fined to the tune of $16,000 per head. And I think that has probably increased the turnout more than anything. People in our industry have had enough of Howard and this bullying legislation. We don't take it very well, and as you can see, people are here very strong in their numbers.
What's driving people? A lot of talk about children. Is it that important? Is it that significant? Is the legislation that troublesome?
I think it is. There's a lot of people that stood before us and come along down these streets before us and fought for these rights. And now, if we don't stand up now, they can be just stripped away and gone forever.
Corey, as a mother, do you worry about politics or do you worry about legislation?
Yeah, especially the kids growing up and for their future.
And how are things down in Geelong, Corio way? How's life travelling?
Yeah, no, we're travelling all right, but yeah, like I say, as soon with petrol prices and everything that's going up, interest rates going up, you know, if we don't maintain our conditions, you know, we're going to be struggling as long as a lot of other families around town.
Now, often unionists and blokes are painted as bully boys, but you look like a pretty ordinary family from the suburbs. Has John Howard got it wrong?
I think he might have.
Okay, good work to you. All the best. Craig and Georgie don't fit John Howard's stereotype of the bullying union leaders that we hear about with your three children. Craig, what's it all about for you today?
Trying to get at least the same rights for my kids as what I've got. I want Johnny Howard out so that my kids have got a future. With him in there, they don't.
You're here with your wife?
Yep, and my family.
And the whole family, and the big theme is protect your kids' future. So what does it mean to you today?
Well, the right to be able to have these sort of marches without being prosecuted. I think that's a huge thing. Maintaining the right to express yourself.
How are you finding the morale in workplaces now post-WorkChoices legislation?
Well, since we're trying to get beaten into the ground, we're still fairly buoyant.
Yep.
Fairly buoyant. It's a good thing.
So I can see from this, it doesn't look like unionists are big bully boys. They're blokes with lots of children.
No, the people are the union.
Exactly.
Very worried about what's going to happen ahead.
So the way out is to vote John Howard out?
Definitely, Howard out.
Okay, good work. All the best to you and your children.
All right, cheers, mate.
Not only am I a teacher, but I'm a labourer, and I support rights. I support that we shouldn't be seen as an economic commodity. This is inspired by Peter Garrett and Midnight Oil. This is inspired by a friend at work. Just keeping things in perspective about, you know, why us as human beings and the value of that, and then the value of the environment, which I think you can't separate.
What's this all about with the Indigenous kids, Earl?
A number of years ago, our Assistant Secretary Tony Murphy had a discussion with one of the community elders and accountants of one of the communities out in the back of Broome area, and we were explaining how important it is, or how expensive it is to get plumbers into the community. So we took it on ourselves that we would start a program to get Aboriginal apprentices from the area, train them up, and then they go back into their own communities.
Yeah, well, Tony, we all know when people talk about Indigenous health that water and the like is a really serious part of that issue, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
And I mean, you as a plumber, you're going to be fully qualified soon. What sort of skills are you going to be able to take back to your community?
Well, I mean, the water and the hygiene of the water and everything in communities where I come from is below what it should be, and it causes sickness and a lot of sickness in kids, and for me to go back and be able to provide good water, good living, it's just a big
step forward.
Big step, yeah.
Earl was saying before that you'd been out working on, was it your grandmother's house? Tell us about that out in Broome. What was the story?
Oh, there was just leaky pipes and no one would go out because it's out in the bush. No one would go out. It was too expensive, so it was easier for me to just take a trip and fix it.
I mean, that sounds like a very small story, but I imagine that was a very big thing for your grandmother. It was sort of profound to have you out there doing it rather than some contractor or not being able to get anyone.
And having to pay hundreds to get them to drive out there, fix it, and then it was easy if I just went there. It was a small job, but it makes a difference for her.
Good work. All the best to you. And Earl, I suppose you want to thank the ETU too, because they're doing the other side, aren't they? They're doing the electrical.
I was about to say, from what that conversation started, there's been 3 programs now, Phil. There's Vic Tech is still taking Aboriginal kids on. The ETU are taking on in a big way, and we've got a partnership with them where we're going to take 15 apprentices on this year. And then there's our traditional, what we've been going at. So there will be 25 kids in the system this time.
So I suppose we want to say to governments and employers and big companies and philanthropic groups too, put your hand in your kick.
We've got the recipe, and you know, if you want to have some sort of conscience about what to do with our Indigenous health problems, we've got the recipe to fix it.
I've got a problem at home in the toilet. One of the toilets, the flush is not working quite right. Can I take you back to
all
my
the money
place?
in the world?
Well, big money.
Oh my God! There you go.
IR laws. That's what it's about. We're not saying anything one way or the other about the ALP. We just want Howard out.
Now, you've been on the phone debating with Joe Hockey. Tell us a little bit more about that.
Joe Hockey was on 3AW, and when I was on air with Neil, and he offered to meet a delegation from Victoria to debate the IR laws. Well, I think he's about 2 years too late. He should have done that before he enacted the WorkChoices legislation.
So you're saying this is too late?
Very too late for Joe Hockey. We want to see him off at the next federal election.
Have children featured heavily today? I mean, is that a case of perhaps exploiting young innocents, or what's your point of view there?
No, our theme today was don't give John Howard another shot, protect our kids' future. It's the school holidays. We asked parents to bring their kids along to show their support for our campaign to protect kids' futures. We're learning a lot from parents, that a lot of kids are getting ripped off when they leave school. That's where WorkChoices is really hurting the community at the moment, and that's why the theme was that today.
Who's in the crowd? Who's in there? What sort of a makeup are we talking about? Just take us through the range.
Oh, we're talking about manufacturing, we're talking about construction, we're talking about food industry, we're talking about civil contracting, we're talking about white-collar public servants, we're talking about everybody.
We have an obligation to our next generation, that the working people of today in Australia and in Victoria look after our future generation, take responsibility for it. And the only way we can do that is to make sure that the reign of John Howard ends.
The Howard government's other industrial laws are widely opposed for working people and the wider community. Working people know that these laws not only attack workers' pay conditions and community living standards, but it is also an assault on our democratic rights to collectively organise in unions, defend our hard-won conditions and our communities.
Ask those workers today one thing: I'll rip up this AWA in public. I'll rip it up, and after we get a chance, we'll put them back on a collective agreement. We have been marching since the 2004 federal election about John Howard's IR laws. We've been marching and we'll keep marching. It's 2007. The next federal election isn't far away. We are standing proud today. The streets show it, that in Melbourne, Victorian workers will always come together to stand up for themselves. Stick together with your mates and we will win.
That's it from the Union Show. I want to thank Deborah Waddell for all her hard work, wandering down the streets and finding a path for me, and Lisa on the camera, and everyone else who's worked on the program. What a special edition it's been. Isn't it great to hear real people in the streets of Melbourne talking about life and talking about politics? That's it from us. See you next week.
The Union forever defending our rights. Down with the black metal workers unite with our brothers and our sisters together.